Hey everybody, it's FMPONE. I'm here today to look at Palacio by Slimek, Kochi, and Clicks. So this map has quite a grandiose feel. If you take a look at some of the architecture here, absolutely love the little dome and the huge dome and the way that the angles of the geometry just kind of are going in every direction. It creates a pretty awesome sense of scale. Also really like this tree line that just expands into the horizon. That's incredibly difficult to do, in my opinion, in a video game. I see it screwed up all the time where it just does not look real, but it looks quite real here. And that's important because you're on, you know, incredibly high up in this tower. You want that to feel real and believable, and I think it definitely does here. Uh, by way of criticism, I think there are definitely some issues with inconsistency of art assets. Things like this flag being pretty low resolution. You can walk over here and you see this archway with really beautiful kind of nice curvature map applying some color variation to the texture, but then this spot, for example, is pretty much just like one texture applied to it. Just going to compare and contrast that with this model over here that's got all this excellent color variation and chipping and damage and shadowing, and kind of wish it was more like that. Like this idea of having some sort of plastic bag over the trash can as opposed to just a trash can. It's kind of a creative way to add a little bit more life to that prop. Um, Perhaps could have used a few more polygons on there to get the idea across, but yeah, walking into the map, you really get greeted with this incredible view. I really like this fountain here. I mean, the CS2 water is popping, the greens and the blues, really beautiful. Uh, on a prop like this, it's so cool looking. I do wish we had a little bit more of a roughness map, metal map information to give it a little more shine. Wouldn't it be nice if your eyes were being greeted with, a little bit more shine on that prop? But yeah, there's just incredible world building here. I love this magenta, you know, almost like this neon pink that they're going with, because it's such a rarely used color, and it really pops here. Adds some variety and some life to this map, which is really cool. You can take a look down, you can see just the life extending out into the world of this geometry and architecture. Really cool sign. One of the things about this map that I think is a definite strength is it's kind of hard to tell what is authentic to the world, as in real life, and what is not. So I mean, this building is super tiny, but I'm hesitant to say that it shouldn't be like that because, uh, kind of feel like you could pull up a image on Google Maps and there's the actual building and it looks just like that in real life. But what I'm pretty sure of is that this crate would fall over in real life. So it's willing to forgive a lot, but certain things it's harder to. I think some of the texture resolution on these is a little bit blown out, but definitely when you walk this way, you can see the scale of the world that's been built. Really appreciate that. I did notice one thing here. If I go into the third person mode, kind of floating. So, little things, but they do add up. Take a look at the grandeur of this level. I mean, it really comes across when you're in game. It's pretty awesome. The scope and scale of everything is just enormous. One thing I also really like about this level is the material work in places is just excellent. Like, I really like the way that the bricks are popping out there, and you look up and you're greeted with this awesome color. Just by way of criticism, I think some of the assets, on the other hand, do not quite get there. Like this is kind of phony baloney looking sewer grate. I think this bench, definitely could have spent more polygons in there. Let's get some cracks. Let's get some edge damage, some bit more detail. Some of these new props are getting a little old now, but take a look at that. Another thing that I want to point out about this level that I really, really like is not only is the architecture, does it feel very plausible to me, but it also has some gameplay implications. Throw smokes through here. Obviously I missed it, but and then this courtyard I think is, for me, one of the best looking areas in the entire contest. So let me just turn off my HUD here and view model as well, so we can really appreciate how majestic that is. And then there's also just some cool things going on where you can see the tower to the other bomb site, that iconic sort of bomb site tower from this bomb site. So pretty awesome. And there is all this detail up here. It's not player accessible, but just really enhances the scale and the scope of the level tremendously. Check out how beautiful that material is. One thing I really like about this courtyard as well is there's just not a bunch of crap everywhere. It's pretty clean, pretty open. It's utilizing the power of Source 2 in an efficient way, which I really respect. This prop, I think, could maybe have used a little bit more effort, just because it's going to be an iconic kind of prop. We're baking the normals onto the model rather than just modeling those details. It looks like they even exist in the high poly version of this model, but they just were not brought into the level. So maybe we'd consider doing that. I really like this jump right here. It's a challenging one to hit, but it's very satisfying. Let's see if I can do it. Not missing it. Maybe I should turn my view model on. Let's see if this helps. Not enough, apparently. One thing I will say is that when you're trying to do this jump, it can be a little disorienting with the tile here. Maybe it could be simplified slightly. Oh well, I'm never gonna hit it. I suck. Stick to mapping, bro. Check out the colors here. Going from this warm red to this really refreshing blue. This feels so nice. I like the detail here of having this cabinet that you can blow up. There's going to be a lot of nades being chucked at this thing because it's right adjacent to the bomb site.
I'm throwing a grenade!
Definitely adds a little something. Got an inaccurate cube map information here. It's receiving blue from the sky. The sky would be occluded by this wall. Gives you an opportunity to appreciate this, though. That is a beautiful ceiling. My goodness. And then this has got to be my favorite area in the entire map, from a visual standpoint. I'm going to turn my view model off again. And that just came together really, really well. Definitely emphasizes the power of Source 2. Some really interesting shapes and colors going. Back out into this courtyard. So I think the ambient occlusion information on this prop is the shadows are a little too dark. So sometimes I've found it's necessary to dilute the black level and the ambient occlusion a little bit in Source 2. And you can do that very simply in the material shader for the prop, and then create a variation if you want to use it other places where the AO is looking better. But for this one, I think AO is too strong. I want to point something out. This door is a gameplay door, crucial gameplay door for this bomb site. But I have some critique of the room that the door is in the sense that this is a red curtain right next to the door, so it's commanding quite a bit of attention by virtue of the fact that it's red. Almost more attention than the door. So I think I would want to have the door be red and have the curtain be some other color. To a lesser extent, these plates are also commanding an awful lot of attention. They're also on the left side of the screen. So anything that's in the upper left side of your screen is going to be commanding more attention than anything anywhere else on your screen. That's just basic human psychology. Some of the transitions between rocks and walls in this level are not really up to the standard of the rest of the level. I noticed that these little pipes that are used frequently are, to me, just not very nice looking. But I'll tell you what is nice looking is that this is one of the most architecturally sound feeling levels that I've played in a long time. And this absolutely feels like a real place. Absolutely. And love the ceiling here. One little note that I would offer, suggestion or thought and feedback, is that for a lot of the level, it's actually pretty easy to offer callouts. You know, I'm in the courtyard. For these areas, these transition areas, they're done very well, but you know, I'm not quite sure what this red table is doing. Maybe if we had some water here, some kind of waterfalls or something, it would be a little bit more of a dynamic space, in my opinion. Not sure how I would really refer to this area other than like red table, but feels like the red table isn't really clear what it's doing. I love this little decision, this artistic decision to cut out the shapes here. Could have been a texture, but would not have looked as good. Would not have looked as Source 2, for example. I really like it here as well. Just getting three-dimensional with our shapes. Love that. This is another really strong view from the map, in my opinion. And it's going to be one that you see frequently as you approach the bomb site. Like the way that the navigation is actually feeding into the art design, which is very cool. And I don't know if this is going to come through in the video, but hear that? It's very nice. Very nice sound design. You can see, again, the horizon is just seemingly endless. Just incredible sense of scale, and the level is reminding you once again of the scale. Perhaps we could do a different graphic now that we're on this side of the map, but yeah, check that out. This is a map that knows, in my opinion, from my perspective, knows how to market itself in the level. In other words, you could easily see how this would be a screenshot or a video for a YouTube thumbnail, something, because the colors and the shapes are all really dynamic and they're popping. Seems like I always kind of vary between compliment and criticism, so I guess I'll criticize this store a little bit just for the... Sorry, microphone died. Kind of the simplicity of it and not much color variation or not too much detail really. I think this crate has been overly scaled up. I think perhaps in this bomb site we could have used different site cover that's not like Inferno site cover, but I do like how the tiles are being incorporated into it. Love that dome. I mean, that dome, every time I look at it, it's just all the lighting. Another thing I want to point out is the tile work on this level always just basically looks awesome. Like if you check out all the lighting information that's being reflected here. This is the kind of thing for me, you could play this map 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. You're always going to appreciate just the incredible glare there. Check out this room. This is another, honestly, another favorite for me. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a museum with a lot of musty old paintings, but there's a kind of a distinct like smell that they have. This room definitely, it's almost giving me a smell. That's how strong the environment art is. It's pretty hard to do that. Really intricate tile work here. Really like this texture, but I wish that it had more of a reflection and more of a sprite artificial glow to it. I think that would kick it up to the next level for sure. I want to offer a little bit of a thought on this. I know this video is mostly delimited to art stuff, but this is another crucial gameplay door, but I'm not sure you would call it a door. It's more of a drop down. You break it, and you drop down, but I don't know. Right next to it, we've got a staircase, and it's kind of a uniquely shaped staircase. So, not sure what was wrong with just going with the staircase there. I feel like it might have been a little bit better. It's just my instinct on it. Love this with the subtle paint drops in the tags. I see oak there. Yeah, very cool. This is pretty majestic, pretty magnificent, I would say, as far as views go. I wish it had a little bit more color, but it's, again, difficult to say. Uh, I'm almost at the point of assuming this is exactly how it looks in real life, so you wouldn't just add more color for no reason. But I do like the way these signs are offering a really powerful pop of color there. I almost wonder whether this map would look even better in a less kind of daylight setting, but look at how the sun is just directly overhead like that. I don't know if that's intentional, but pretty awesome. Is this clock moving? I feel like the last time I looked at this level, the clock was in a different position. That's interesting. It's a very cool cross. I've never seen a cross like that. But I'm zooming out because I want to discuss something which is very sophisticated that this level does, which is that the 3D skybox view, the bird's eye view, it's very easy to imagine a caster or somebody, beginning the round here and, just having really a lot to look at in the big picture kind of bird's eye view as the round gets going on. Really like this view here. Similarly appreciate the whites and the greens here. I typically try to avoid waist high barriers. Sometimes makes sense, but I don't know about for right there. Like the way this carpet is kind of folded. I'm a huge sucker for that. This technique everywhere I see it, I love. But once again, we've got kind of a randomly placed armoire. I don't necessarily hate the idea, but I just wish that it was communicating what it was doing more. But some of these transition spaces are very effective in my opinion. Like this, you can really move through this in a hurry, and it feels like it's working out very well. So yeah, this is a very strong level, I would say, that has clearer room for improvement, but nothing is kind of I'm not totally hating on anything. It's all very strong in my opinion. I think there's some room for improvement in the transitions here between the floors and the rock. Rock itself is looking a little dated. Then you enter a room like this, it just pretty definitely one of my favorites. So very nice map, very strong on the visual side of things, and excited to play it with my friends. So really like this one. I'll close it out on this. Close it out on this view once again. Can't get enough of that. Very strong.